on, Streamliner. You can give it the nudge. You can give it the nudge. I'm sure you can. Oh, yes. 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 No, 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 no. Streamlining. Blah, 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 blah. I would love to put both of these on a peg side by side and watch what children grabbed for. Well, hello, up on the table there are boxes full of Thomas toys. This stuff here represents the last things that I collected from my local charity shop before it closed down. In fact, this box here was Anne's box, and in here would be something Thomasy, I dare say. Yes, there is. But there was also bags of miscellaneous toy trains. You can see the Thomas goodness sneaking out of the boxes there, and there was this awesome box here. Oh my goodness me, it's just too much to behold. Oh. There's also this box of what I'm calling train miscellaneous toys. It's not really Thomasy, but I do believe that pieces like this are a knockoff of a TOMY system that was getting around years back. What was collected at the charity shop came in hard and it came in fast. What started out as a bit of a joke turned into a very nice monster for me. And look at this box here. It's a whole tub of Thomas Wooden Railway, and I think this is very important to look at these days, considering what's happened to this stuff. And there are characters over the back here. Okay, there's Molly there. We better let her have some air, or else she's going to suffocate there. Whew. We'd hate to have her, dying of distress. And in fact, the more digging I do here, I might rumble up some gold. Sorry for the pun. Yes, every box maxed out with Thomas. It's great to see, isn't it? I do have a new charity shop that I've connected to. Let me push these tubs aside here, and I'll just show you very briefly what they've collected for me in what's been relatively short time. This bag here constitutes what has landed to me from the new charity shop. Yeah, hey, you can see what's coming out of the bag. Whoa! There's lots of things that are very familiar in the collecting process, I noticed. There's always been lots of these. Okay, well, things like this. Okay, of course you're going to have your plushes along the way, aren't you? I like this little bag here. There's some mystery items in there. Little rollers on those guys. I know you'll know where they're from, but I've got no idea. You know, little Thomases like this. Again, one of these. You can see how much it was going for there. It was $3 for that item there, which I think is quite reasonable. And I think this is a very curious one for me. I had not seen a Thomas like this dragging, is it Trevor? The traction engine? I hope I'm right there. I know you'd be screaming at me, don't you know, Leo? Surely the name's on it. No, I wouldn't be so lucky. I think he dragged that back and Thomas takes off. It's a TOMY toy. There you go. So, that's something a bit different. I like that. Okay, and of course, if I see cool stuff like this, we love these Lego, look at that, these Lego mugs. And you remember what I say about Wiggle stuff? If you see any cool Wiggle stuff, yes, grab it. Big red car in a very small format. There is the licensing tag of the big red car. It's 2006. I think it'd be a very, very savvy thing to collect and key into. Very merchandise-orientated brand. And the early stuff, I think it's going to be worth money in the future. That's my gut feeling. Thinking of things of recent history of Thomas things, when I saw this offered up from the new charity shop, I thought, wow, to me, that's not that old a toy. I looked underneath. It's a 2014 licensed Thomas. Very much for younger children because it's a bit of a noisemaker by doing that. Yeah, so seeing that sort of surprised me. I should talk about these cups. They were from McDonald's. It was a promotional thing when the Lego movie was on. I think that's a very savvy thing to collect around as well. You can see what they're doing here. I'll just very quickly show you these. Or else you say, but we never saw those correctly. We love these sorts of things. You know, sometimes they're the best little things to have around the house. You can see how much they were in the shop. They were 50 cents each, which I thought was fairly reasonable. And there's this one here. Oh yes, you could play with that all day long. Just move them and things animate. Oh yes, everything is awesome, but I think Thomas and Friends stuff is more awesome. I know people will get angry by me saying that. Let me put away the stuff from the new charity shop because I want to get into the old stuff first. I think that's only fair. I know some people will be excited by seeing some of this stuff. That's a keeper for me. Okay. Let's clear the decks here. Yeah. Okay, let's start off by looking at what's in the bag. I'm sure anyone who's got a fairly eagle eye may see what's going on here. Let me just empty the contents out. Carefully, of course. Oh, do you understand what we're looking at? It's a knockoff Dark Side Thomas set. Yes, yes, they do come through the charity shop as well. Not very often. This is a clone of the Tomy era Thomas. It has had some play. I can see fluff and dust underneath here. It has something leaking from it as well. I can tell that by the back decal there. Has got a mark there where my finger's moving. It's yeah, showing play, which is, I suppose, a bit of awkward Thomas love because, well, this is a knockoff toy. And it has Annie and Annie, basically. I've noticed that the coupling on this is being blown apart, but that's what you get when you play with knockoff toys. And there's the Annie Mark II as well, which should be Clarabelle. Or is it the other way around? I can never really tell. Yes, Dark Side. One dangerous aspect to these knockoff Thomas toys is it's really easy to get into the battery area. I just heard something snap off then. Oh, okay, there's the on-off switch is gone. Welcome to the dark side. I will put a battery in without saying the word Duracell, or else that gets people cranky. Oh, luckily it's on. And it's a bit of a slow runner. I think we've got major bits of fluff and hair caught up in certain areas. So I might have to do that old digging out process, won't I? I think to see hair and everything, that's telling me it's had awkward Thomas love. But once we free it up, we'll give this knockoff Thomas a bit of a spin, eh? I'll tell you what, this is actually compacted with a lot of, I think it's synthetic carpet. Whatever it is, it's really tough, and it's going to make the world of difference once we get rid of all this stuff. See, it's all around that area. This happens to your good toys as well. So it's something you got to keep well and truly on top of, because it just really starts to hamper the way these toys work. Well, hopefully I've got the bulk of the threads and all caught up around the axles there. I wonder if they were putting oil in this because it was starting to slow up, and maybe they thought the oil would fix the problem. Let me put the battery back in. Oh, that's better, huh? That's much better, actually. Yeah, once you get rid of those threads and all, it makes a big, big difference to the power output of these sorts of toys. Now, look at this. It's got a wonky axle. That's very dark side. Okay, so it's sort of not, you know, nothing's made correctly. That's what you get when you play with dark side. I'll slap the top back on. I've lost my on and off switch, and we'll give this Thomas a bit of a run, hey? Yeah, woo! These knockoff toys came with a clone of the Tomy Blue track system. It's a wonderful track system. I know there are many fans and devotees of it, and it's one of these track systems that's really nice to build up as well. And it's a bit peculiar here because I seem to have a lot of points, not many normal straights, so it's going to be a bit of a strange sort of layout, this one. Rightio, I've made something which is sort of strange. Got a lot of curved sidings because, well, I had a lot of points, didn't I? It won't make any sense, and because Thomas doesn't have a switch, I've got to do it like this. And we'll give this knockoff Thomas a bit of a run, hey? And we will ponder the glory of this knockoff toy that we will not get too excited about. Will we, boys and girls? Yes, when I look at these toys in this Thomas Toy Review time, it does tell a story, doesn't it? The toys had some play for the fact that we saw all those bits of threads caught up around the axle, so it has given a small child, some fun, but I think what I've really got to tell you here is that when you get engaged with these knockoff toys, the ones that are not licensed to Thomas and Friends, well, often they're not worth the trouble. They're an inferior build, you can get into the battery a little bit too easy, and the worst thing about them really is they're basically illegal, nasty, nasty knockoff toys. Let's give this Thomas a bit of a wake-up call. I brought out my beautiful TOMY Streamlining Thomas. This toy is one of the best things that I have bought. It is miraculous, it is beautiful, and it is fast. Streamlining! Streamlining! And it's going to catch up with that nasty knockoff any moment and give the carriage there a bit of a shove. Oh, go Streamliner, go! You can do it! You can do it, Streamliner! Oh, it's going to somehow be a marriage made in weirdo heaven. Oh, I could just see a wheel jumping off there. It's going to happen any moment. It's going to happen. That Streamliner's going to come along and give that knockoff Thomas a bit of a shove. Oh, come on, Streamlining Thomas! You can do better than that. I know you can. He's doing his best to jump that fake Annie off the truck. Oh, come on. You gotta do better than that, Streamliner. Come on. For some reason, it's they're playing along together there, which has got me a little bit perplexed. Maybe I've got to set the Streamliner Thomas in the opposite direction. Gotcha. Okay. Spin you around the other way. And let you fly. Yeah, Streamlining home. What? That knockoff Thomas has just given a Streamliner a bit of a biffo. I can't believe that. I would say that knockoff there's just one. Oh my goodness, it's just broken through. Can you believe that? The knockoff's got through. It looks like the knockoff has won. It's going to do a victory lap. Totally unbelievable. Knockoff Thomas and the TOMY Streamliners down on the side in a disgrace. I think I'll give the Streamliner one more chance at getting back its good name, hey? Let's get it back on the tracks nice and quick, and it's going to want to take off real fast here. Okay, Streamlining. Wow, yes, that's more like it. Come on, Streamliner. You can give it the nudge. You can give it the nudge. I'm sure you can. Oh, yes, 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 yes. No, Streamlining. Oh, I better give myself a bit of a break here. My throat's killing me. Naughty knockoff Thomas. Naughty. And I will quickly grab this Streamlining. Have to be fast. Okay, and get it off. Yes, that is an absolutely beautiful Thomas toy. I bought that in from Japan. Man, if only all the Thomas toys were this lovely. Well, adding the Streamliner into that nonsense derailed the video. Sorry for the pun. The only way to turn this one off is take the battery out. I'll just carefully push this aside and we'll move on to our next item. The next item is a Thomas plush. It's got a very peculiar looking face that sort of is a trip back in time. It's rather large. You can see the scale of it versus my hand. It looks sort of awesome. In fact, I have two of these. There's one there I got from the charity shop. And this one here I got from a fete in the suburb where I live. I got that one for $4. So we've seen that now. I can get rid of that. Sometimes. Yay, so they're Thomas cushions, and they are sort of a thing before pillow pets. And I say that because I can take a look at the date on the back of this one here. If I get the right tag in the right position. One says cushion, made in China, why aren't we surprised? And the other one says Thomas & Friends trademark, 2010 Ghislaine. Yay! And 2010 at the time of making this video was 8 years ago. I don't think I've got any which are like this. I like their scale. I like for the fact how fat they are, or should I say wide. I might, people don't like the word fat. They might feel fat shamed. Sorry, Thomas. It's a peculiar Thomas, I feel, because of the face. To me, that's like the old Ertl paper face styling. Very much a trip back in time. Thomas, maybe it's got a bit of a, what would you say, small funnel. If the funnel was a bit bigger, it might work for me because the funnel's the sort of same size as the dome. Maybe it needed more stuffing in that area, hey? But nevertheless, they are both nice. This one here, I think's had more use. I can just tell by looking at the fabric there, and it's a bit more flat. You can see the front of it here sort of drooped down. So I would say this one has definitely been used as a pillow, cushion, blah, blah, before pillow pets. When were pillow pets, when did they come about? And also I can see this one, it's probably been through the wash a bit more because its tags are looking rather shot out. Once again, that's 2010, hey? Yeah, nothing underneath, just black. Rather nice. So it's nice to have one. This is the sort of used one. And this one here, from the charity shop, it's in pretty good nick. Yes, very nice. Okay, I'll gently clear these guys out. Yeah! Next item, it's one of my favourites, and you look at these and you think, wow, you just don't see stuff like this anymore. It's the Thomas tote box. It was a learning curve item from 2002. This one here has had more play or use than the other one. I can see a bit of scuffing there. The face looks fine, and sometimes you'd see scuffing underneath because children will push these things along. And often when you open these up, you get a bit of a discovery of how much a child customised these by putting names in. Or sometimes you see them fairly clean like this. There'd be little stickers here if someone was really going for it, and you'd see they'd have their favourite engine, like Diesel 10 would be here. Yeah, there's a bit of food in there, so this one looks like it's been to a party, or is that something else, eh? Very nice. I've got a lot of these in various stages of, what would you say, care. This one here is nicer. I can just tell by the fact that it's a bit less scuffed up. You know, we can take a look inside this one and see if we've got any Thomas love going on by the stickers, which is what we want to see, isn't it? Oh, yeah, it's a bit stiff to open up. It's another sign it's fresh. And there we go, looks very clean inside. This one, no stickers as well. That's sort of peculiar. They're really nice. They look nice even when they're opened up like that as well. And if you are wondering where do you find the licensing info on these, it's down in this bay here. It can be really hard to see. If I get a light now and flare in the right spots, you can start to read what it's all about. There'd be many a person who is now basically an adult who would have very, very fond memories of this sort of toy and their Thomas collection inside it. The trick to keeping these is keep them out of the light. It seems like the UV does make this plastic very brittle. And once these things become brittle, man, it just takes a slightest touch and they start to crack apart. Okay, the next one. It's one that I purchased and it's still in box. I bought it from Aldi. If I see Thomas toys going at the right price at Aldi, I do pick them up. I think I speak about this in another video as well. It's a Thomas Glow Pal, okay? It lights up like this, but as I found out that when you turn it on, and there's a switch at the top here, the light effect is so subtle, I think I'd have to turn off every light here for you to see it. Okay, I have all the lights off and I can make Thomas's face like float around in the darkness there if I move the camera. It's a bit spooky, isn't it? I feel the light from this, it's a little bit too subtle. I've got my hands on Thomas's face there. I think it needs to be that little bit brighter. It is powered by 3 AAA batteries, and maybe that's the problem. They're not my favourite battery. The light does emanate through the side of his boiler area. I'm not sure whether you can see that because it is so subtle. But I think if the face was glowing a bit brighter, it might be, I don't know, something a little bit more worthwhile. Maybe to show you how subtle the effect is on that toy there. There's one light on my workbench on. Okay, turning it back off. What do you think, eh? It's a very, very dim-faced Thomas. Go Glow Pal Thomas. I think he needs a bit more glow. So I've got all the lights back on now. I don't think we're getting enough light from that. And when I looked at some of the box artwork here, especially this one here, I don't think I could emulate a picture like that at all from this toy. That looks like a lot of light coming from that face, and I don't see that from this one. There's the licensing on this toy, 2013. The box tells me it's manufactured by this company here, but I can see a design copyright of 2015. I will pull this toy out of the box. I did put fresh batteries in before I took a look at it, and there's a little box at the back there, coming out of the back of Thomas, and I will just take a look at this away from the boxing. So I got the Thomas out of the box, and then there was this set of constructions here that talk about, you know, positions on the battery box, blah blah. 1,000,001 languages, don't choke on this toy, and batteries, blah blah. And the Thomas, in this at least, it's got the detailings that we like to see on a Thomas toy. We've got a lamp at the back, we've got buffers there, a bit of a connecting area. You know, there's so many Thomas toys now that lack details like the whistles, a nice dome shape, details in the front there, a splash of white across there for the running board, rarely seen, and a Thomas face that is not going to disappoint, although some people may not like it. I don't mind that. This could easily be a child's first Thomas toy. That's the sort of thing that gets bought for very young children, I can tell you, because I know I bought that glowworm for my daughter when she was very young. I just feel, and maybe other people have got this Thomas, I just feel that the light on the front there, and I'll turn it on, you'll never see it. It's just too subtle. Even if I take it over somewhere dark, okay, there, you can barely see it. It's just not bright enough. The next item is a bag of small Thomas stuff, and there might be a bit of chuggers and miscellaneous blah blah. Ooh, yeah! Ooh, let me sort these out. There's some good ones in here, I can tell you, some good ones, yeah. Rightio, I've got this sorted out. There's some very cool things here. There's a little bit of ordinary as well, but of course, as we look at these, every one of these toys is going to tell us a bit of a story. The first item, it is a Hot Wheels vehicle done as a train. It's nicely detailed and over the top in a sense. It's got a driver's cabin there detailing. It's got a coupling area there. Sort of Faco wheels there, but Hot Wheels wheels underneath here. Little tiny wheels at the front here. Ponies, is that what it is? I hope it is. Some people get excited when they see these Hot Wheels trains. It's the first blue and gold one I've had through. I think it's called Rail Rodder. I hope I'm right there. Is it 1990... Was it 5? That's the copyright is like the first year it would have come out. Doesn't mean this is a 1995 train. I've just actually broken a bit of the front there. Oops. There goes its value. Anyway, it's a sort of toy that I do see come through a little bit more than I would think from the charity shop, and some people really like these. The next one, it's Stephen, or Stevenson's rocket as it was as a real train. There's the face on this one here. How many years back do you remember this one being part of the Thomas & Friends range? I can't see that much love on it. There's a couple of little stone chips and all on this. Put it this way, it looks like it's had a fairly easy ride. And if I take a look under here, I can see 2012 Mattel, blah, blah, but there is the Ghislaine thing as well going on the bottom there. So it's before Mattel really grabbed it completely. Nevertheless, maybe it was a bit of a popular character. I know the dirty version of this was a peg sitter big time. I remember watching those on the pegs and nobody touched them. They seemed to like the one that was painted like this, but not the dirty one, which became a peg sitter. The next one, it is the Mega Bloks Thomas. This is the earlier variant of it. I can see it's got Ghislaine underneath the board there. I'm looking for play and scratches and stuff. I'm not seeing it that heavily in this toy. Mind you, toys like this can disguise that. Maybe the best feature about this toy was its face. But really, there wasn't much else going on here that was that fantastic. It had an awkward coupling system. It did have a track system, but even that, I felt that was awkward. Maybe it was more like a carpet toy. There was some celebration theme on this one. I think it came in a special pack. Yes, well, I am a Thomas collector. Every Thomas is precious, and, well, there's another one for my collection. And, of course, there is Diesel here as well. I do collect Diesel, so I'm happy to get Diesel. Diesel's a bit of a tricky character to collect. The face is too happy for me there, okay. And I should point out here, Diesel's actually got Thomas's bottom here. That's the fun of this toy. And if I do a quick switcheroony here, I'll show you the very simplistic way these played out. And it was sort of nice as well, because that's the fun of this toy, when you do things like that. So you can have like a Thomas Diesel. And I remember seeing my son making up all different variations of this. Now, this earlier version of the toy had 4 sections in a sense. And the Diesel has a pop-off top there. But they came along in the toy industry wisdom of today. And I've actually got one which is in a bag here. And this was the later version of the same toy, and it was just dumbed down to only having 1 piece, 2 piece. So I don't quite understand why these changes go on. It seems to be almost like one of the constants, especially that we're seeing with the Thomas Empire. And sure enough, I do have a Diesel here. Oh, suffocating. Well, you're not suffocating now, Diesel. And again, we're dealing with just 1 piece. 2 piece. Oh, I don't know. To me, it just felt like better play when you had more pieces to build up a custom character. I've just rebuilt the Thomas from the charity shop, the Mega Bloks Thomas, into the way that it should look, and it makes me think, wow, what's different between this and the one that came a bit later on? We've got painted whistles. Let's count these up. We've got painted buffer detailings front and back. Okay, we've got painted behind the wheels. We have bunting that actually paints across the back here, flags and bunting, and we've got a hook that's facing down, and it's a model that breaks into 4 components, which I had no problems with that. You know, it made for a more interesting rebuild when you were mixing and matching your parts. But then the Thomas that came on a little bit later, I don't know, it just spooks me out. No painted whistles, the buffer detailing doesn't care anymore. We've lost the paint behind the wheels there. Some may argue that looks better. We've lost the bunting painting across the back here. Why? And the hook face is up. I don't know whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. And the fact the model only busts into 2 components, which I actually preferred the older version. But then, you know, in showing you just that, the difference between that there and that there, no wonder why Thomas fans get mighty, mighty cranky. So I've come along and I've connected up the 2 different eras of Mega Bloks Thomas toys there, and you're probably thinking, Leo, you're nitpicking. Most people are never going to notice those changes, and really most people don't care. I can only assume that's what the toy companies are thinking when they make these changes, because I tell you what, it rattles my brain why we see these changes. And it just reminded me when I'm playing like this, I used to see my son playing with the trains like this, and he'd make like the Thomas train snake, and then he'd whip them up, and that was sort of like the fun, and they'd sort of whip off, and you could have your train fun like that. And of course, it was always more fun the more pieces the toy broke into, and you know, that's what the other stuff used to do. I don't know, I just get so cranky. Okay, next up, Chuggington Die Cast, and sadly I know a lot about this toy. I remember looking at this way back on my YouTube channel. This is Learning Curve 2010, so I'm making this video 2018, and a lot of things has happened to Chuggington since, and all in essence they basically disappeared. This toy had a lot of things going right for it. It also had a couple of things going wrong with it. I think the main problem, it never connected to Thomas because it had this very strange ball and socket type coupling system. Some people liked it, but because you didn't connect to Thomas, it really restricted play. They never had the names on these toys as well. I think that was another big flaw, you know. TOMY came along later on and basically put plastic tops and then metal bottoms on it, but the damage had been done. And if they had maybe connected to Thomas, you know, it could have been a totally different story. That's Brewster there. I can't see much love on Brewster. A bit of a ding there. When these toys have had a lot of play, like my son's one, my son loved these. Although he got frustrated when he couldn't connect to the Thomas stuff. They will get dinged up. You can see Wilson here is in really good nick. I can barely see a scratch on this. It's quite eerie actually looking at these again because I've got some very fond memories of when I first saw these, except the playsets had this bizarre thing where they had you know, the left corner and the right corner were different types of track. It was weird. I think TOMY tried to fix it up, but it was all too late. I've forgotten the name of this character. Of course, we haven't got the name under here, have we? Okay. I keep thinking Frostini, but it's not Frostini because Frostini was the ice cream one. It's the African lion safari one, whatever it is, I don't know. You know, nice features in them. They always presented well, these toys. Always presented well, but you know, if you're not connecting to Thomas, well, you know what's going to happen? You're going to disappear, and that's what happened. We're back into Thomas realm here. It's James. He's missing his tender. Busy Bee. James, is it? I don't know. There's an episode which had this one. James and the Busy Bee or something. Or I get stung on the nose. James. Fantastic looking face. You know, there's nice weight in this toy as well. We've got detailing there, which we don't see anymore. Will I start getting cranky, or will I just, you know, it's only a toy, Leo. It's only a toy. This is a very nice looking toy, and curiously, when we first started seeing take-alongs, we were sort of cranky because, well, we lost our Ertls, but I think in the end, these toys became quite endearing, and, well, there's a great example of why they did. They had a nice, smart magnet system as well, and they had detailing that, well, you sort of don't see anymore. Very nice, and one thing that this is showing is the flaw with these toys in the sense of what goes wrong is the axles will start to rust, and then what will happen is, although it hasn't happened on this toy yet, you will split a wheel off. The wheels would just basically fall off. And look, Thomas did their names underneath there that Chuggington struggled with, and that's what Chuggington needed to do, but hey, Thomas went on and survived, hey, and we can sort of see why. Oh yes, it's Mavis. It's 2003 Learning Curve. It is a very nice looking toy. Learning Curve did nice toys. They did nice Thomas toys, didn't they? Mavis's face looks fine. I can see this toy has had some play, which is really nice. Yes, like you put one of these in your hand versus the toys that are offered up today, and it's got so much sort of weight, and weight to me says quality. There's the underneath there. I'm not sure whether you can read anything there. It's very hard to see black on black. And now that I've got Mavis in my hand, maybe this was the character that really was missing as the female in that pack that I saw at Aldi instead of having Rosie. Come on, give Mavis a go. She's awesome. The next one is Madge. It's 2007 Learning Curve. A bit trickier to show you because it's sort of an articulated vehicle. This is rather nice, I can tell you. In fact, it's very nice. Oh, you don't see things like this anymore, and what was nice about Madge was you could actually put your engine on the back here, and there was a magnet there to also hold it, so it was very smart toy making, wasn't it? Back when, well, smart magnets did smart things, and we don't see smart things too often these days, do we, boys and girls? Without getting into any more trouble, this one is showing some Thomas love. That's what we like to see. I've seen these before come through, but you'll often see that back bit gone, and you'll find that. And to me, well, Madge isn't Madge unless she's sort of all there, but, you know, a bit of a bygone era thing from the Thomas world that's rather nice. In fact, I'll say it like this, it was a very nice time. Okay, next one is Rusty. It's Learning Curve 2004. There were people that said to me Rusty was a bit tricky to get when they saw my Rusty in the Whistlers pack, and I've forgotten what that was called now, because, well, lots of things happen. I can't remember everything. This one's not showing that much love. The face looks like that. It looks pretty cool. I think the franchise has lost the sort of nice characters like this in a sense. There were some nice stories that involved Rusty. I think it was something about the two toots or something. Told you I lost it. Anyway, look, it belonged to Ryan F. Ryan F, your Rusty is now totally famous on YouTube, and it looks like you've had fun with Rusty. And if ever you want your Rusty back, well, you know who to contact, don't you? Your Rusty's safe with me. I'm not going to harm Rusty. Rusty's fine. Last of the batch, but by no means least, it's Thomas 2002 Learning Curve. Is there something shouting at you about this toy that's worrying you? It's worrying me, I can tell you. Taking a nice look around this. Look at the wheels. Ooh, yeah. It looks just like the tote box. That was something I should have said back when we looked at the tote box because, well, the tote box emulated the toy of the time. That was rather smart toy making, wasn't it? What's the thing about this, Thomas, that is worrying you? Can you see it yet? Maybe you have a closer look, hey? Up nice and close. Remembering the take-alongs had that shrunken-in black on the top of the cab there. I've said that many a time, haven't I? It's a way you can easily ID them. The fact the number one's nice and big. And the moon face, what's missing on this Thomas? That should really be there, and it's sort of surprising that it's not. Can you see what's missing? It starts with the word L. It's called Thomas Love. Yeah, so often when I get, especially Thomas' character in, the thing has been through hell. This one is in remarkably good condition. And it often confuses me, how can Thomas be left out of the party when it comes to being banged around, smashed around like these toys should be played with? Unless someone who owned this one really had an affinity and a love affair with Thomas, you know, that could be the reason why. But this Thomas here, it's had much love in a very different way. So in the lineup of awesome little train toys we took a look at then, I think the ones which are sticking out to me as being the ones which are really nice are my Learning Curve friends. Yeah, come with me. I might finish with this Thomas here, but I have a bit to say about Thomas Wood after this model here. This is a 2005 Thomas. It is ticking a lot of the boxes that Thomas toys should have. The white running board here, nice looking face. It's got a nice overall shape as well. Who do you think made this one? Aha, no surprise, it's made by Tomy. This toy's got toy detailing on it that is rarely afforded to Thomas toys of today. There's a bit of a mystery to this toy, and I know there's components missing. It looks like it could take water in here, so it would have been a steaming type Thomas. I also noticed on the back here, it's got a switch, and we'll take a look here. To me, it looks like it's got the option to play by hand or the option to play by remote. This Thomas is powered by 3 AA batteries. I've already put new batteries into this. It was in good nick, the battery container. It does have a name on it. Jaden used to own this toy. I also noticed the name is again applied between the middle wheels there. I can also see traction tyres there, which are nice and chunky. And there's a part missing. Unfortunately, it would be the water reservoir there for the steam unit is totally missing. So there are some features on this toy that I'm never going to get going, but I will just switch it to the hand control. And about the only thing I've been able to make this toy do is if I push it along, it'll do that and give me a DMCA. If only it had its water reservoir, I dare say we'd be chugging some steam. But nevertheless, it would have been a fantastic Thomas toy to be playing with. For the fact that you've got the 2 options here, and I can only assume one's remote control and one's play by hand, I think that's fantastic. I hope I'm right in saying that from what I can see on the back, but man, how many memories are brought back by hearing and seeing that. You know, back when Thomas is done right, if you look down the funnel, you can see a red light that would have lit up the steam if it was coming out of this Thomas. And the nice thing is, if you pull Thomas up, he'll make a braking sound. Wake up. And the nice thing is, when I pull Thomas up, he'll make a braking sound, I hope. There. Got it. It really is an all singing and an all dancing sort of Thomas. If only they had its steaming effect there. If only I had the remote control, and I'm pretty sure it would have been a remote control, because if I hold the light up to that area there, I can see the red tinge through the roof. So that's telling me that this would have been a remote controlled toy at some time. I'm actually very tempted to get out my Thomas collection and divide it up by manufacturer. I'm pretty sure you'll see all of the Tomy ones are by far the nicest looking Thomas models. Okay, let me have a few words to say about Thomas Wood. I can see there's a lot of rage online about the changes they've done away from Thomas Wood and Railway. I looked at the packaging here, and there was a few things about the packaging that didn't stand out to me initially until I had a look at the packaging of Thomas Wood and Railway. And sometimes it's what you not show reveals much about, well, what you're trying to hide. And we'll let you look at that there. And the full retail price is there, okay, it's $12.95. Mind you, Aldi had them going for $8 a pop. But the Aldi price was like a special. Those toys wouldn't be in there all the time. You had to really run in and nab them. Let's take a look at Thomas Wood and Railway packaging. Okay, so this is what preceded it, and it's to be the one people said, oh, this is the Thomas we all love. This is the one we want to have. Noticing it says Thomas and Friends Wood and Railway. Look at the track here. Okay, the track goes all the way down here, and you can see the track connector, the old style track connector. And as many would argue, and I agree with them, the classic type of track. Okay, if you start drifting away from this, you may end up in trouble. Now, notably, look at the price here, $15.50. So there's not that much price difference between the two of them. The Thomas Wood price was that, so what's that, $2.55 difference between that being the cheaper one and that being the more expensive? I would love to put both of these on a peg side by side and watch what children grabbed for. It'd be very interesting to see, even if you pulled these toys out of their box and you let them grab at things to see which one they're going to play with. You may find children don't really care. Now, it wasn't until I looked at the packaging of these and I thought to myself, wow, what are they hiding on this packaging? Well, they're not hiding the fact we're made out of real wood. We can see the Thomas nice and clearly, mind you, only on one side. We can see the name of Thomas. We can see a little synopsis there. Blah, blah, blah. Another beautiful picture of Thomas and all the blah, blah that needs to be on this packaging. Can you see what's missing on this that you could see on the other packaging? There they are side by side again. Maybe you can start to see it. What we're not seeing on the Thomas Wood is the track coming down here. We cannot see the track connection. They have hidden the track connection behind the Thomas and Friends Wood logo. Now I bring this up because I've heard lots of people talk about the difference between this, and people talk about the fact they're facing different ways, and they talk about the fact that this hasn't got as much paint on it, that this is smaller, that this is cheaper, and all the things that are different between this and this. This is a classic toy. This one's yet to establish itself. But the thing that I see missing is the fact that they've decided to hide the track connector, which is different to classic wooden track. For me, the packaging said so much when we couldn't see the track connector and it's hidden behind there. I dare say there's a very good reason why. Now, I'm hoping that all the people who are bagging out Thomas Wood have gone out and bought this toy. I'm glad I went out and bought it. I'm glad I got it at a good price. In fact, seeing it at a good price started to make me think, why is it being sold very cheaply all of a sudden? Well, if you're a 2-year-old and that's the first Thomas you had in your life, you're going to say, that's my classic Thomas. And I think that's what goes on, because as time goes on, you tend to forget about, well, what was really classic. There's some things on this that I don't like. There's a little bit too much exposed wood, especially that section there, although I don't mind the fact that we're seeing exposed wood around the wheels. I mean, to me, it makes the wheel area a bit brighter, okay? Obviously, Mattel have got some new funky paint system where it likes to paint in this type of style, and I dare say we'll see all these variations of Thomas to try and make us buy more and more of these toys. It's a slight downsize. Hey, that seems to be going on all the time. I think the downsize that I struggled with is when you see Diesel 10 is in the same scale as Thomas. And larger steamies are also being downsized. To me, that doesn't make sense, because this is one of the, big, mean guys. Mind you, he's always happy these days. The improvements to Pinchy was welcome. Okay, but the downsizing of this toy, I think, was unnecessary. Did we ever ask for a minced up, smaller Diesel 10? No, we didn't. Okay? But, on the whole thing about change, sometimes there are changes which are mistakes, and we get resolutions and better outcomes from them. And I think this Thomas here, the taken plate, which had the large dumb magnet because they got rid of the smart magnet system, is a classic example. It was only around for a couple of years, and you know, I think a lot of people just thought, well, it's one thing to crush Thomas's cabin, it's another thing to give him, you know, big ugly magnets and just make him look, you know, rather silly. But from that, we got a resolution of having the clip connectors. You know, sometimes a bad thing happens and a good thing comes along. I actually like these clip connectors. You can make longer trains. To me, it makes sense. But the part which I think would annoy some people is the fact if you've got some of the old classic toys like that Learning Curve Thomas there, hey, they don't talk to each other. And remember, that's sort of what killed off Chuggington, the fact you couldn't connect to the older toys, but then again, it does play into Mattel's hand for selling more toys. They seem to want to impress us with things like this. This did impress me. It's the Rainbow Thomas. I'd see these are selling quite well, especially in the stores I visit. You know why? But it's a rather nice looking Thomas, and they're showing us, hey, we've got these funky painting methods that can produce, you know, nice things like this. But did we ever really want a Rainbow Thomas? I think in the end, what we always really wanted was something like this. And it goes back to a take-along, which has a smart magnet system, you know, a full-size cab. But, you know, why did we have to drift away from this? This, as we can say now, is a classic toy. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this. This is the toy you want to have versus that toy there. Okay, so as it seems to go on in time, it seems to be distilled down away from a classic. And I think in the end, well, people are always going to say, let's say if I'm doing these reviews in the future and Thomas Wood turns up, I'm always going to pop up one of these and say, well, you know, before Thomas Wood, there was a Thomas like this. And that's what many people would deem as being a classic. And the nice things about classics is they tend to be remembered forever. While I was away from YouTube, I went to a local church fair. There was this tub of Thomas toys, and I saw a price on it, but I also looked at what was inside, and I knew what was inside was from the good era, and I can really point that out by showing you something like this. Okay, you don't see stuff like that anymore, and if I lift this up here, you'll get more of the goodness on view there. There's actually quite a number of Thomases for some reason. Lots of characters in there, lots of bits of nice sections, like the old Big Cranky, and the Tidmouth sheds that were nice and big like that. The people wanted $100 for it, and I offered them $80, and I said, look, if I come along later on, I'll see this tub still here, I'll only be offering you $50, and they nearly balked at my $80, and I said, oh, okay, we'll let it go, but we think it's worth more than that. What do you think? How much do you think from what you've seen here is that worth in that tub there? Now, what I'm going to do with this tub, very simply, is go out and buy $80 worth of Thomas Adventures and some characters and set it up against what's in this tub to see where the value is. I'm hoping that what I've got in here is akin to Thomas Gold.